Okay, it's time to reveal your Premier League Manager of the Season. Barnes, have got 8 nominees for this category. I mean, top 2, they sort of far and away, you'd say, the standout nominees, Ranieri and Pochettino, top 2 in the league, Leicester and Spurs, but who would your pick be?
There's only one choice for me. I think Claudio Ranieri, what he's done with Leicester, so many questions when he came in. He'd just obviously come off that spell with Greece, which ended with defeat to Faroe Islands. It looked like, his managerial career might be over. To come back to the Premier League after a long time away, after getting sacked by Chelsea, and do what he's done with Leicester is unbelievable. You do have to give a bit of credit to Pearson, because there were signs of it towards the tail end of last season. Probably built those foundations, but the vast majority of the credit has to go to Claudio Ranieri. There's talk of him now being in the running for the Italy job when Antonio Conte goes after the Euro 2016. The president of the Italian Federation said he wants Ranieri to win the World Cup with them, so he's certainly on their list, and that just shows how it's turned around, because as I mentioned, that Greece, it's ended in such disappointment, and now he's the talk of the Premier League, really. It's just the way he's done it, conducted himself through it as well, very charismatic all the way throughout the season when they were leading the way, saying we want to get to 40 points and then we'll discuss, and then they got to 40 points and he just kept them going, kept the pressure off his team as well, which was important. For me, he's the only choice. Pochettino certainly deserves a mention. I expect him to come second in the running, because he's done a fantastic job with Tottenham, probably been overshadowed a bit by Leicester, but they've had an incredible campaign. No one expected them to challenge for the title either, so certainly the top 2, but for me there's only one choice really.
Yeah, I think we'll probably all be in agreement about Ranieri. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime achievement what Leicester have done, but Matt, just make a case for Pochettino.
I think you have to make a massive case for him, and they ran, obviously Leicester, I'd say they ran them close, they did for long spells. Obviously that gap has become bigger now for a couple of poor results for Tottenham, but for Pochettino to do that finish, obviously it's not done and dusted yet, they could still finish below Arsenal, but if he manages to finish above Arsenal, which is obviously massive for the fans, above Chelsea, above Manchester United, above Liverpool, clubs like that, and he's taken them very close, and he's put together, you can see, with Leicester I think the criticism would be, can they maintain it? But if Spurs keep Pochettino, you could see them becoming a real force, couldn't you, with the young players they've got in there, the brand of football they play. He's obviously, funny when he first came in, wasn't he? He didn't really want to speak, he had that translated, didn't he, even while he was learning English, and he wasn't really sure. Now his English is much better, gets his message across, and I do expect Ranieri to win like Barney, but I think Pochettino, it should be second. I think he will be second, and he's had a fantastic season, and I'd like to see him at Manchester United, to be honest.
Yeah, the only other 2 candidates for me, I think those 2 are definitely far and away, but I put Slaven Bilic up there. What he's done with West Ham, really made them play a lot more attractive football. I think Eddie Howe, even though Bournemouth have spent some money, he's certainly done a good job there. I think the football they play is very exciting sometimes. Jurgen Klopp's in their Barnes. I'm not sure personally in terms of Premier League Manager of the Season, because he hasn't been able to sort out their inconsistencies in the league, and they're probably going to finish outside the top 6, 7. But why would you say Klopp should be there?
Well, I think he certainly improved the team. I think Liverpool are certainly heading in the right direction under him. There was big inconsistencies early in the season. You beat Manchester City 4-1 in that fantastic performance, and then lose a game you'd expect them to win. So there were inconsistencies early in the season, but I think everything's moving in the right direction. Obviously wouldn't put him anywhere close to Ranieri and Pochettino right now. Looking at the wider picture, he's done superb in Europe as well, getting them to Europa League final. I think he deserves to be among the nominees, just because the way he's turned Liverpool around a bit. They seem to be going in the wrong direction under Brendan Rodgers. Now under Jurgen Klopp, they're playing exciting football, and if they come against anyone in the table and they play their best under Jurgen Klopp, that attractive style of play, that high pressing, high tempo style of play, you back them to beat anyone in the league at the moment. And certainly looking ahead to next season, when he's got his first pre-season under his belt, he's got a summer transfer window under his belt, I'd expect Liverpool to be right up there challenging for the top 4 again.
They've been so good in the Europa League under Klopp, but I think certainly he's still got a point to prove for me domestically in the league. He's got to make Liverpool a real top 4 contender, which he hasn't been able to do this season, considering how much the other teams have fallen away. I think Liverpool had a chance if they could have played like they have been in Europe. They could have had a real chance to climb up towards the top 4. Haven't really done it. Any other names stick out for you there, Matt?
I think Quique Sanchez Flores you have to mention in there. Obviously there's talk of him being sacked, isn't there, which is quite incredible for what he's done with Watford, a newly promoted club, to bring them up and consolidate Premier League football. Obviously they've never really been close, have they, to the relegation zone, flirted with it at all. A number of clubs have. Talk of him leaving, okay, they've tailed off the last few seasons, obviously lost the FA Cup semi-final, didn't they, to Palace as well, which is disappointing. But these are all, I think the battle is for who comes behind Ranieri and Pochettino. It'll be interesting to see who that is. I'd be surprised if those 2 weren't the top 2.
Alright, Barnes, let's do it then. Let's see who's top 3.
In 3rd place is Pochettino, only 3%. Second place, you won't be happy with this, is Jurgen Klopp with 8%, and Ranieri with a whopping 84% wins it.
That's the biggest we've had by a mile so far, and deserved winner, Matt.
Deserved winner, so I'm just looking at Klopp in second. Quite surprised, to be honest. That's quite incredible. And Pochettino 3% is quite astounding. Ranieri 84%. Obviously that is massive, and that's not surprising. But I am surprised about the list, to be honest. Certainly the second and third, they should be switched. I think Klopp should be up there, but hey ho.
Barnes, you must be over the moon.
I'm very surprised, I got to say. I did not expect him in the top three. I think the big question for us was who was going to finish third. I didn't expect Pochettino to be there, and only 3% of the votes. That's very harsh on him. Ranieri, obviously, I agree with Top, but thinking who I would have picked third, maybe Slaven Bilic, as you mentioned earlier, because once a manager sacks Sam Allardyce, once a club sacks Sam Allardyce, so they usually don't fare too well after. So he had a big job on his hands, and the main thing really for them this season was to stay in the Premier League. That was priority number one. He's obviously done a lot better than that until recently in the Champions League races. So he's done a fantastic job. He was up there. One person we haven't mentioned is Eddie Howe as well. He's done a really good job consolidating Bournemouth's place in the Premier League, which not too many people expect them to do coming up, and obviously their first ever time in there. So he's done a fantastic job. Very surprised to see Klopp up there. Pretty happy, but very surprised.
Yeah, so Jurgen Klopp has snuck in there, but no surprise really. Claudio Ranieri is your Premier League manager of the season.